So explain your idea of what Main Street to Wall Street is.
Yes.
So how does what happens on Main Street, people's buying patterns, people's thoughts, people's moods, people's anxieties and fears, and how that is reflected on Wall Street, and how would that be reflected in publicly traded companies? I mean, think about it. We're here on Wall Street, right? So you've got companies that are food companies, right? So we get people's, like let's just pick something like gluten-free,
okay,
right? Like people's, our society is really fascinating the way it goes in trends.
Yes.
Right? And how, when young people ask me, what stock should I buy? Okay, high school students, I will say, go back to high school and walk down the corridor and see what phone everybody has, what computer they're on, what sneakers they wear, what social media they're on, and what they do in their spare time.
Right.
And what you will end up with, and this is not a recommendation of any stock, is Apple, Nike, Shake Shack, gambling, what do you call
gambling
it?
in high school?
Well, betting.
Yeah,
Kids
okay.
are betting. Kids are betting. Or sports, right?
Yeah.
Or MSG, Madison Square Garden. I mean, that's, but that's the beginning. But you see that reflected. You see that reflected
Yes.
by personalities, and then you see it reflected in social media.
Yes.
And then you're going to see it reflected in the price of a stock.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. When Main Street talks, Wall Street reacts. And in the middle between those two, we actually have the headlines. So what happens is the chain is the following. You said going to high school and like looking around what people are wearing, what are they buying, what are they interested in.
Right.
We look at Main Street conversations, then headlines follow. For example, PR crisis happening with a company. Headline follows, right? Something happens in social media, explodes, virality, the headlines come, and then instantly Wall Street reacts to that because the stock, most of the time, if there's an issue,
will
it
either
dips.
go up or down.
Right. Most of the time, like if it's a negative PR crisis.
Right.
So that's why I say Main Street conversations, you grab them, the headlines follow, and then the Wall Street guys like you, they come and they react to that.
Correct.
And that is why it's so important. So instead of having to send the high school students to go and look around what people are wearing, the idea of Main Street is that in a digitalized era that we are today, all you could do is actually log in a platform and scrape compliantly all of these comments about brands, about products, about
what
services.
people are talking about online.
What people are talking about online.
Okay.
What
These
they
are on
share.
Discords or on podcasts or anywhere. Where
They could
do you
be-
go?
Well, it depends on the
I mean, that's what you
scraping.
do.
That is
right?
what
So
I
you're
do.
a scraper.
I'm a compliant scraper.
Compliant scraper.
Very important to mention. Yes,
Well,
that is what.
But it is, so listen to the noise, right? That's what Discord is about, isn't it?
Yes.
So you're listening to, there are chat rooms, there are Discords, there are
Pages.
places where people talk, there's Reddit.
There's
right?
Instagram comments, there's threads, there's LinkedIn. I love that you used the word noise. So this is actually a big perception about social media, that it's a very messy and loud place.
Right.
And in reality, it is like the town square. It's the modern town square where people go and talk.
Or the water cooler, they used to call
Yeah,
it. Right,
sure.
where
You go
people
by the
to
water
talk
cooler, you
and
talk,
just
you
talk.
mention.
It's gossip.
Correct.
Right.
But then what actually ends up in reality is that it's not noise if it turns into what we call patterns.
Okay.
So sure, you have one post.
So
then
these are the 5 Ps you were referring to.
the 5 Ps
Okay,
in
so
marketing.
a post is the first P.
Post, pattern,
Right.
perception,
Okay.
pricing, this is where Wall Street comes,
Okay.
and then policy. But basically, policy is more related to the change that the organization has to do in order to address the prior 4 Ps.
Right, okay.
They're not
Which is
official
curious.
Ps,
So
by the way.
my daughter has a degree in policy. That's what her, right? And I never understood what it really meant. But you're right. So there's trends, there are desires, there are demands.
Correct.
And that will eventually turn into, if it's counter to the way things are now, then you're going to have people either complain or vie for a change of policy. And
Correct.
so that's the end result of all of this stuff.
Yes.
Is actual policy being changed.
Yes, again, that's
And that's
scaffolding.
governmental for the most part, isn't it? Or it can be job rise.
policy at a company, could be
Policy at a
policy when
company.
it comes to even startup companies, organizations, publicly traded or privately held, whatever the conversation is. So again, getting back to the point that you made earlier about noise, sure, if it's one post about a shoe maker or a shoe itself,
Right.
maybe it is noise. Maybe there's nothing really behind it.
Right.
But think about it. If it becomes hundreds and hundreds and thousands and then millions of conversations about the same topic or the same product,
Right.
then maybe that tells you that there's a pattern, right?
Okay.
That is what marketers...
Post pattern is
Post
next?
pattern,
Okay.
yeah. That's what marketers care about. A statistically significant amount of conversations that give you enough data and enough information about possibly the friction that there could be, or maybe the joy or the success of the product.
Right.
So then you can take that into becoming a perception about the brand. That's how marketers tailor strategies, understanding what consumers think,
Right.
and what patterns there are in terms of the products that they love, the services that they're getting,
Right.
of course, or it could be the friction that they're experiencing.
Right.
And they take that and they create the brand perception. That is when you see marketing campaigns and ad campaigns that have a fun slogan.
Right.
That is because marketers have listened to those patterns, those clusters of conversations,
Right.
to understand what are those behavioral, I guess,
Similarities? Right.
yes, that the consumers have and those conversations have in order to come up with a marketing strategy and create the brand perception. The brand perception is at the core before we get to the next P, which is money, money, money.
So you
The
know,
price.
So listen. So when I was a little kid, my best friend's mother ran a marketing company, but it was it was market research. Okay, so as kids, they used to call in focus groups.
Yes.
And so she used to do a lot of food companies. And so I remember as a kid, I would always be called in. We would bring in all our friends from school, and we would do a focus group on like tasting a cereal or trying a new soda.
I love
or
it.
But it was very manual. I mean, think about it. This is 40, 50 years ago.
Right.
Right. So everything was literally a bunch of kids, 60 kids were called into a room on a Saturday. We each got paid, I don't know, $2 or whatever it was, and we all got to taste the cereal and then we were asked questions.
Right.
And they did a survey. Right? So to think about that back then, I mean, that's how companies made decisions. They did a survey. Do you like chocolate in your cereal? Do you like it crunchy?
Or
Do you like it to
vanilla.
be sweet or
Sure. Yeah.
sugary? Do you want, right? I mean, and they developed products around market research and surveys by kids.
Yes.
That's what makes a good product or a bad company. I mean, if you could go back to the amazing story about New Coke, you were probably not in America at the time. Coca-Cola goes back to the turn of the century. Originally, there was a bunch of cocaine in it, That's how people started using it and why they really liked it. Then the formula, which is still secret,
Yep.
okay, and is one of the highest kept secrets. I think it's somewhere in some safe, somewhere in Narvik or something, or in the North Pole. But anyway, and the marketing of Coca-Cola, right, which is it's recognizable globally. It's the red and the silver and the
Right.
white, whatever it is. At some point, someone decided that they want to make a new Coke. They want to tweak the recipe.
Interesting.
And then they want to come up with a new name, and it was called New Coke. They spent billions of dollars doing market research
Yep.
around it. I don't know if they did. They just came up with the idea and fast tracked the product out, or they did the research first and it was just bad information. It was one of the biggest marketing corporate debacles of our time.
How
because
interesting.
everybody had such a loyalty. Think about it. We are the greatest consumer generation in history. We now are. And so we were back then, we were younger, but we still were, right? I think probably my generation are the first ones to really start to consume stuff. We like what we like.
Right.
We want when we want when we want it.
Right.
And so, but we are also the most loyal, right? We look, if we like Apple phones, we like Apple phones. If we like Nike sneakers, we use Nike sneakers. That's why my analogy about the kid going down the hallway is you very easily can see, when they ask me, so Einstein, what stock should I buy? And I say, go to school and you do your own market research and go and see 30 of your best friends in high school and go see what sneakers they're wearing Probably Nikes. What phone are they on? Probably an iPhone. What computer they use? Probably an Apple.
Right.
You know, what are they doing? What social media they're on? Probably Instagram, right? And then you can then go out and buy those stocks. And the chances are, even in a very small microcosm market research study, you could probably figure out, whether it's Mickey D's or Shake Shack, or Nike or Under Armour or Apple or Samsung or whatever it may be. I mean, the choices are sort of, limited in a way of what people like, and it's reflected here. So it's fascinating. So to think that what started as 30 kids in a room eating Cheerios or Frosted Flakes, and then doing a survey, and to this day where things are so digital and so, amazing. So your job is so exciting. Look, if I wasn't a stockbroker, I would have been in marketing advertising, because for me, that's the most exciting thing. When I need inspiration, I come up here to the balcony and I watch that ticker. So if you see that ticker, all it is the name of a company, how much it is up or down, and its logo. And for me, logos, right, the visuals, I'm a visual person, right? I haven't read a book since The Cat in the Hat. So I don't read, right? My brain doesn't work. I couldn't read as a kid. It's because I would say the words.
Numbers.
I see numbers when I see things in groups. That's why I built the trading strategy I built. But I can't see words on books because it just bores I fall asleep because I'm boring my mind to death. So you know how that works. So the brain has a capacity to read, to think.
Tell me.
50,000 words a minute.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And that's why when you're asked to write down a dream, right, that actually only took maybe 30 seconds, and it comes out to be a 30, 40 page dream. It's very in depth if you're a dreamer, right? And I don't dream, but some people dream, and if you were to ask them, we know that dreams only last a couple seconds sometimes.
Right.
But it could have been you saw your whole life pass in front of you. Why is it so long when you write it out? Is because the brain has the capacity to think incredibly. A lot of these new nootropics, right, the new medication like the one I'm on, where actually can make the brain work at a much higher efficiency level, where we're literally only using 50% of our brains right now.
Oh my God, the Einstein, so your brain must be exploding.
So my brain I'm seeing the vortex. Absolutely. How are you, Chief? So anyway, all that being said, it's so exciting for me. As I said, that was what would have been doing, is because people's buying patterns and people are visual. They see things, right? We know some things, if you look at, descriptions of logos and colors and words, right? There's certain things that are happy colers and, colors that make you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you must know all about that, right?
Yes.
I just saw even a post about that. Like, certain colors are used for certain products, and certain words or letters are, or certain shapes are things that people will make logos. I mean, that whole thing is fascinating.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Not related to Main Street, but related to Wall Street and visuals. Have you ever bought a stock because of some kind of liking or association of the logo that you've had?
You know what? I think so. So look, I always think that, one thinks that people who are buying stocks, if they're doing it maturely, that this is not like, one doesn't buy a stock because of FOMO, hype, hope. Right? Those are not strategies to buy stocks.
Agreed. Absolutely.
And you can either buy a stock on technicals, which means that a graph will show you, a chart will tell you support and resistance, and that's how you make a judgment, or whether you just like the company. Right? So there's that old Marcus Lemonis thing. People process the 3 Ps, which is people, process, profitability, and product.
Okay.
Right? He always talked about that. So Marcus Lemonis is a billionaire.
Yes.
Right? He's the CEO of Camping World, I think, and he made billions of dollars. He had a show on TV where he would go around and try and reboot companies.
You should be on the show.
I know. I wanted to always. I reached out to him. I met him a few times. Super nice guy. But anyway, he talks about the 4 Ps. When he looks at a company, he looks at the people, the process, the product, and the profitability. Right? That is how he breaks down a company. So, I mean, have I ever bought a stock? I haven't owned a stock. I've never owned a share of stock in my life. So I can't answer your question until recently, at least. I haven't. But so, would I? Absolutely. Like if I like. So if I like because I think I have sort of a typical, I think Shake Shack is a great hamburger. right? And if I would have bought the stock based on my fact that I love a good hamburger. I think I have a good idea of what's good in food, right? I was in the food business. It was a big part of my life for a long time. And I know what's good food, in my opinion. And I would have bought it. I would have bought a stock based on taste, let's say.
Interesting.
Now, would I buy it based on logo? Maybe not. I mean, I would have noticed it and looked at it, but I don't know. Why do people use are people's buying patterns based on logos and things? It gets people's attention. We know that.
So Main Street again. I love that you talked about the Wall Street lens, and through your experience again as the most photographed trader on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, how you actually view investments, whether that's your personal investment or of course other people's money that you're investing. On Main Street, when I analyze consumers, I care about multiple P's. Again, I very much care about the product most often, and I'm mostly focused on that. And I also care about the friction and the joy that's related to the same product. Because I have to categorize sentiment. In order for me to understand what's going to happen on Wall Street when it's time for you to invest in the same company, in order for me to help my clients on Main Street, I have to analyze how consumers feel. Sentiment, emotional. I mean, what's their behavior going to be?
What's the connection?
If they come up with a new product, or even if they slightly change or modify, whether it's logo, a color, the font, removing a letter, the dot,
huge thing, right?
It is a huge thing. So that is where I come in, and I actually do the sentimental analysis. So the sentiment analysis of the emotional aspect
of every single
relate
product. To a logo, to a font, to a color.
Correct. So again, do consumers buy based on logos? Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely, yes. They buy based on the visual.
They buy the product or they buy the stock?
No, I talk about Main Street.
Okay.
I only talk about the product.
Okay.
Yep. What happens with the stock follows what happens with the product sale, right? Because everything that happens with consumers is very much tied to those earnings at the end of the quarter. And customers do buy based on visuals. So price is a huge differentiator with any product. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's endorsed by a celebrity or not, or if it's just a regular product not endorsed by anyone. Price will always be a differentiator. But visuals are a huge aspect when it comes for consumers to pick a specific product. And now with social media and the digital era that we live in, customer reviews and other attributes follow. So it's almost like this holistic picture that brands have to have. Brands who sell products, only focused on products again, they have to understand the full picture and what happens in that marketing funnel. So instead of having them from top to bottom of the funnel, basically come join us, welcome, get on the welcome landing page, and then sell. We're going to sell you the product. You're going to basically exit with the shopping cart with a product in. Marketers want to start from the other way around. They want customers to come to immediately buy and then to help them build a persona up. So why are they attracted to a specific product, and what makes them attracted to that product? And that is actually where people like you, influencers, come in, because the whole marketing model has been completely flipped on its head with the influencer power that over the last, I want to say 5 years.
Someone may trust me. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Someone may trust me because they've seen me. I have some integrity. They trust me. Right?
Yes.
And then I recommend something, and then they may go out and buy that
immediately
because I recommend it.
Correct.
They do.
They wouldn't even look at anything else that has to do with the logo or colors or even product information. They would probably buy it right away.
Now, what I find fascinating is this. So the reason we just rebuilt our website on our course, and now with my social media guy, we can actually track when somebody registers for a webinar. And how come 2,000 register for the webinar and only 600 people show up?
Right.
Now, they don't have to pay, okay? I mean, we did a thing down in Boca. Everybody who paid, they had to pay up front for the event. They all showed up. There was only one person who paid and didn't show up. When someone registers for a webinar or a masterclass that's live and free, 2,000 register, and 600 show up. I still don't understand that. Why would someone register and not come? A few of them, maybe something came up, their kid got sick, whatever, but that's such a discrepancy. Now, along the funnel way, the psychology around funnel, and maybe you can help us with this, because for some reason, people, that's why we redid the website, because for some reason, when I try to sell a course, and I have as much integrity in the educational space and in the stock market than anybody.
No doubt.
Yet they come in, and if the first thing I try and do is sell them a course, they leave the website. And then you're now able to analyze, I'm sure this is what you do, when did I hook them?
Yeah.
When did they drop off along the funnel
Correct.
down to actually purchasing it?
Correct.
So the new YouTube guy said to me, you know what you need to do is you need to offer them something for free first. Why are we able to sell courses after we do a live free webinar? Because we gave them something, we gave them value.
Yeah,
And we gave them a hook. We had them on for an hour and a half. At the end of it, we said, you know what, if you like what you see, you can get more of it and become part of the family. Maybe you want to go out and buy the course.
Yeah.
But there is a way, maybe you can help analyze this, because there's still a big disconnect between getting across a message and people loving me and conversion to actually a purchase of a product.
Right. That is
There's
a
big
classic
marketing dilemma.
issue and dilemma that brands have. And influencers, I mean, anyone who is in the business of selling to consumers, so direct to consumer, that is the big dilemma. And yes, that is where agencies come in and they analyze the funnel. And they also analyze Main Street discussions. So what happens in those Reddit threads where they discuss your trading academy or yourself?
Can you scrape that for us and find out what they're talking about? And you can. So you know what's curious is, because look, you want to find out what they're looking for. I always so it's amazing. There are people, and it's probably because there's a formula. There are people out there who are selling things who are amazing. First of all, the concept of a drop, I understand that's kind of a new thing now. A lot of build up anticipation, and then you have one day to buy it, and then it sells out, and boom. And that's a big new way of selling things. But there's also some people who have the formula of selling, right? There are guys who are out there who have half the credibility of me and half the footprint that I do. Selling a course on trading stock that can sell $1 million in one day. And I'm like baffled by it. What is it? Where's the disconnect between me? That is where
that's
the ultimate dilemma.
Analyzing how consumers perceive you,
the
course, any of the services, any of the marketing that is being done. That is where I come in to help the brands.
You do. Okay.
And that's just one example.
You're hired.
Made it. Love it. Yeah, but that's
that's so exciting.
One example.
Yeah, and look, what I love about us is that, look, I'm on Wall Street and I'm here at the point of execution of stock, and I'm also a influencer in social media, but there's a journey that people have from over there as they travel through this, whether I'm selling something or not, or whether I'm sharing a message or not, or I'm giving something away for free or not. But there's some point where you hook some people or you lose some people. I mean, I know, very curiously enough, I did this interview with that guy on the School of Hard Knocks the other day, right?
Yes.
Who interviews billionaires on street corners, right? And he got me.
And you.
And then he met me. And amazingly enough, before me, he had interviewed Tom Brady, most famous football player in the world, and Gary Vaynerchuk, the most famous marketer in the world, both billionaires or multimillionaires. Me, right, who I did not say what I'm worth, or I did not say how much money I make. I converted, I pivoted the line when asked to say how many shares of stock I traded a day, because I didn't think it was anybody's. I didn't want people to focus on that, because that's something that, I'm not that kind of a celebrity, so I'm more of an educator. However, Tom Brady got 300,000 likes. I got 1.2 million likes. Gary Vaynerchuk got 3 million views. I got 17 million views.
I love it.
Now, am I the flavor of the moment? Maybe, yes, right now. But I would have not thought that. I would have thought that, wait, Tom Brady's way more famous than I am. He's maybe better looking. Gary Vaynerchuk is way more well-known and famous than I am in marketing. But so I said, okay, so I got to figure this out. So I read the comments. I've never read comments about a post.
Never do that, by the way.
I know. I've
Dangerous.
never done it before. However, luckily it happened to be a good experience because it was, oh my God, this is the best video he ever, talking to James, the guy who did the video. Of all of your, maybe Tom Brady is cooler than this guy, but this was the best interview you ever did. Or, or, oh my God, that guy was so humble. He never talked about money, or, all the things you would, it was like, I was completely surprised by all the comments.
Yeah.
But in a nice way. Because look, there were some haters for sure, and there was, they're the trolls. I get those all the time. But for the most part, why doesn't he give stuff away, or why does he, or whatever. But for the most part, it was like, wow, that's one humble dude who took his time to talk to you about, stocks for the, and that my overall message was that what the most important thing to me is to inspire the younger generation. Maybe that's the message that people like.
That is, I am the younger generation.
You are.
People are inspired by smart people and good-hearted people.
Right.
And I think in a fake world where social media presents a distorted reality,
can be anybody.
People like you shine. They shine like a diamond, Peter, like a diamond. So that is why you received.
Well,
views.
look, I don't post, like I always joke about it. I don't post of me lying on the back of a Bugatti with flashing stacks of $10,000 bills, right? That's not who I need. That's not who I am, right? And I don't need to brag. At the end of the day, it's a message that's kind of a good, humble message.
Yes, and a message about the power of Wall Street and the power of investing.
Right.
I mean, again, like I could talk to you about. I know we're getting sidetracked, but I could talk to you about investing and my journey coming to the U.S. and then building wealth in the U.S. Again, coming from nothing. So I appreciate your message.
Which is an amazing story, and that's also a story because when somebody has had a journey like yours, somebody who came from nothing, right, and did not let all that what's the word? Adversity, thank you. I was going to say adversary. Adversity stopped them, and that every barrier to entry, you blew right through it, right, and you did not. We always talk about it. It's not. We learn more from failure than from success. Not a matter of how many times you got knocked down; it's how many times you get back up and keep going. You are the perfect example of that. And it was nothing about luck. It's all about circumstance. You put yourself in the right place at the right time for good things to happen. Right? You didn't get lucky, right? That's I mean, I don't believe in luck that way. I believe in, in circumstance.
Hard work. Yeah. But that's the beauty of being anyone able to come to Wall Street and even from your desk at home be able to invest. The power of investing.
How did I meet you?
Finance. We met here on the floor.
Oh, you were doing an interview. Oh, that's right.
I was doing a Schwab interview.
And you waited around and we met. That's right. Exactly.
I needed to meet the legendary Einstein of Wall Street.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
But I love the representation. I mean,
so
again.
This story of for us to go on, I mean, and hopefully we do this on a regular basis, to talk about Main Street to Wall Street.
Yeah, moving the needle.
Is the idea that what goes on in regular life, which is Main Street, everybody's regular life, they eat, they dress, they buy, they work, they have friends, they spend time, they consume. And how does that, at the end of the day, affect what goes on Wall Street?
Correct.
In the biggest way.
Yes.
If they weren't buying what they're buying, then these companies wouldn't be going up. If they didn't have perception, or if they have bad perception, I mean, think about it also, like the endorsement idea. You know what? I'm curious. So you mentioned joy.
Yes.
So you know who this guy David Meltzer is? Have I talked to you about him before?
No.
So David Meltzer was a gentleman who, one of my mentors. He was the guy. You ever seen the movie Jerry Maguire?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Jerry
sorry.
Maguire. Okay. So it's a famous movie. Tom Cruise plays Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire was a guy who started in the sports endorsement business, sports promotion management business. And he came up with the idea that if I'm a basketball player and they're paying me $40 million to play basketball, and I'm wearing a Nike sneaker all the time and everybody loves me as the best player, and why doesn't Nike pay me $40 million to wear their sneakers?
Great question.
There was a time where that wasn't the case. Okay, he was the one who came up with the idea of sponsorship and endorsement.
Brand endorsements.
Branded endorsements. He ended up making $280 million by the age of 28, 29, multi-millionaire, was at the height of his game, and bankrupt, and had to take him and his 5 children and go under the rock and
Go to Bulgaria.
He didn't have to go to Bulgaria, but he went to his mom's place. And how he crashed and burned, it was a financial crisis. He was probably a little bit too big for his britches. He forgot where he came from. A number of different things, physical, mental, psychological, social, all the different things that affect someone's rise and fall, right? He then hit a rock bottom, dug his way, you know, where's your bottom? It's when you stop digging. He hit a bottom and decided that what he wanted to do was that all the money and fame was not that important. At the end of the day, bringing joy to 1 billion people in the world was going to be his life's goal. And so he embarked on a journey to bring joy. Now, joy is a funny thing. It's not happiness, not fulfillment. Joy is an emotional feeling that you can't put your finger on, really, right? And there's actually a disease of people who are incapable of experiencing joy.
I was not aware.
Yes, and we can look it up on our phone. So check this out. It's very fascinating, actually.
Wow.
So you can go and look up, where is this thing? Come on. What here? What is the definition of someone who is unable to experience joy? Anhedonia. The inability to experience pleasure or enjoyment in activities that used to bring you joy. So my father, during the war, was in a concentration camp, and he adopted a little boy and who had lost his parents. They had been murdered in a synagogue burning, and he was obviously scarred, and he grew up with this inability he had everything. He had beautiful children, a beautiful life, beautiful everything. But there was a part of him that could not experience joy. It came from post-traumatic stress, it came from deep trauma, whatever. But there was the things and he had everything after that. After the deep trauma, he ended up having the most beautiful family. You know, he came to America, my father took care of him. He ended up going on to becoming a multi-millionaire. He had 3 beautiful children and bought and sold millions of companies and whatnot. He had everything that would bring you joy, and he was very often happy and very often fulfilled. But joy, so it's a fascinating, you mentioned the word, right? To see how there are products that bring you joy, products that make you happy. There are things that bring us joy.
Right.
But so David Meltzer's goal, I mean, if you look him up on Wikipedia, he is now a life coach to billionaires all over the world again. He's back on the top of his game. And what he does is he throws events where he believes that one person at a time, that he can actually change the world in a positive way by bringing kindness and joy to people, which is, you would think, well, that's a pretty daunting task. But that's what he does.
Very lovely.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. He's one of my closest friends.
Very lovely.
But that's
commendable.
Just kind of right. But it's funny how, why do we buy stuff? People's buying habits.
Consumerism.
Consumerism, but
consumerism is based on a utility, right?
Okay,
you're buying a product because of utility.
And what about something I want and not something I need? There's another side to consumerism that's not utility.
Correct. That is
the feel-good syndrome.
Yes, thank you. I was going to use, let's use your word. And that is based on emotion. So that is why brands sell to you with through the emotional lens.
They sell a feeling.
They sell the feeling. So those are the most memorable brands, actually. Right. The ones who create a feeling in you. Because they turn you into a loyal, long-term customer for decades, maybe for centuries in some cases. Because they sell the feling to you and the joy that you get instant gratification
and so
from.
Like a marketing strategy can be like, if I watch a very beautiful woman wear some certain clothing that may be attractive, I want to buy that experience.
Yes.
If I buy something that the marketing approach is a very rich person using this product, and I'm trying to buy that experience.
Yes,
right? That's consumerism in a way too.
Yes, you are. I mean, again, ultimately, consumers care about people. Brands are confused in a way because they think that consumers don't necessarily care so much about the brand. They care about the price more than anything else, and that is wrong. The successful brands, the ones that you trade on a daily basis,
Right.
that are here at the stock exchange
Right.
and have a ticker, they sell those feelings. And they, of course, at all times try to make you feel like you're high, like
Right,
from
right, at the
joy.
top of the world.
Like you're
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
top of the world, you're flying. That's where all of the visual, so colors, logos, music, audio,
Right.
video, visual,
Experiential.
everything comes to play.
Right.
And it's very interesting. I mean, again, I love being here at the New York Stock Exchange. It's just such an honor for me to be here and to just breathe the air and see really where the magic happens. And it's the magic for all of the basically brands who are being traded here
Yeah.
on this floor, because
It's the
they
end,
create.
it's the end game of the consumer.
Correct. I see the consumer end every day, day in, day out.
Right.
And I see the friction points, I see the joy, I see the strategy, I see everything.
Yeah.
But I don't see the end product, which is actually the success of these brands.
Right.
As someone who loves building brands myself,
Right.
it is incredible to be able to connect the dots between Main Street and Wall Street. And again, I always say, Main Street talks, headlines follow what Main Street has said.
Right.
And you guys, Wall Street, you react to both of these things. So it's like this very intertwined road for basically the brand, the success of the brand.
Right.
That starts on Main Street. So I mean, again, it's a passion of mine to be behind the data and
it is a
understand
passion of-
consumers
yeah.
and the psyche, the psychology that's behind it.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly interesting. Incredibly interesting.
And and for me too. I mean, it's one of the reasons we are so connected is because for me that is the most exciting part too. Obviously, I love what I do, but one of the things that I find exciting about social media is the cultural. I mean, there's a culture around it. There's a societal thing around it. There's this consumerism thing around it. There's a feel-good thing around it. But just to see how people react, and it's scary in a way because social media is scary. I sort of, I think about it relative to a younger person. Like, is this their way? Is this their first inroad into what society looks like? That's
Right.
a little scary because
Right.
we can be, first of all, we are being detached from another human being through, I can sit at a party and be sitting on my phone like this and never interact with another human being. Right.
And miss the love of your life while you're while you're looking at your
I'm
phone.
looking at Instagram.
Yeah.
Right. Or so that's the journey from
Right.
from the feeling to the product to the headline to the product again, and then to the to the end result, how
Yeah.
it affects the price of the stock.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, social media, the modern town square. It is.
Modern town
Social media is
square.
the modern town square,
So
which
you know
shapes and drafts the headlines, and has you react to all of these.
Correct. Because I will need to know, for me, the way I trade stock, one of the reasons is I need to avail myself of all the information. What's happening globally. When I buy a stock, I need to know what's happening in all the other markets.
Right.
I need to know what's happening globally. I need to know what's happening politically.
Yeah.
I need what's happening in that sector. I need to know
Economically,
how people
yes.
are perceiving that sector. I mean,
Yes.
there's so much that goes into that point of execution when you're actually either buying or selling something.
Right. And that's also why I love social media.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to fly to France to understand and do a market research focus group in France, because I can just scrape it
You can just
from the comfort
scrape
of my
it.
home
Yes.
in
you can just
French
scrape it.
and understand what consumers want.
Yes.
So again, globally understanding these conversations is where the big power is.
Yeah.
And that is why the big brands, I mean, I see so many
Right? As they go
well-known
by there, right?
brands.
Isn't it amazing? So think about
that-
it. Sometimes I'll bring people up there and they'll say, I don't know that much about Wall Street. And I'll go, okay, let's just stare at that thing there. Like, BBVA, it's the South American Bank. BCE, right? BCE, I don't know what that one is. Becton Dickinson is a consumer staple company. Bank of New York is obviously a bank. BlackRock is obviously what is it? It's a real estate and it's a
hedge fund.
fund. What is that? Bank of Montreal is a Canadian bank. Bristol Myers is a drug company. Brookfield. I don't know if that's real estate, Brookfield Place, or what. BNS. Hey, I got to put on my glasses.
Scotiabank. Yep. BP.
British Petroleum is an oil company. Berkshire Hathaway is the greatest company in the world. Boston Scientific, BSX. You know what? I don't know what they actually do.
Advancing science for life.
Okay.
So,
Ambev owns Budweiser and Corona
course.
beer and whatnot. Blackstone is real estate, correct? Citibank is Citibank. But look at like we could go through here, like Carrier makes air conditioners, right? So Citibank, look at that logo. It's got nice lines. Carrier is sort of a thing. Caterpillar, it gives you, what they make, tractors, right? Kava is a new food company, right? Isn't it?
It's Mediterranean food.
It's Mediterranean food, right? But it's like a salad bar. It's a new company. It's gone public, but it's a smart business model, and they've done really well. Cigna is an insurance company. Colgate obviously makes our toothpaste, right? CIBC is OPCO. It's a trading company. Chipotle is Chipotle. Look, Chipotle, funny thing about Chipotle is, Chipotle went public. I bought the first 100 shares of Chipotle stock for a customer when they went public. It was at $30. Chipotle was fascinating. It was the first franchise. So McDonald's, right? Greatest hamburger company in the world, and a wonderful story behind that as well. But they decided, they did market research, and they found out that the trend of eating fast food was deviating from the fast food hamburger. First of all, the competition was crazy.
Of course.
Hamburgers were going from fast food to gourmet. And then the trend of eating was going to a Tex-Mex point of view. And so they saw, and they came up with the concept of Chipotle. So what they did was they went to their 270 best McDonald's franchisors.
Wow.
And they offered them the possibility to buy into the Chipotle franchise.
How smart.
So it was not just the open public. It was there was already tried and true customers who had developed, who knew how to run a franchise.
Right.
Because they were not going to fail. There was no room for failure. So, and they had already done their market research. So 270 smart McDonald's franchisors, the best of their team, were each offered one Chipotle franchise.
Wow. And
it was the idea that Tex-Mex was the next trend, and it skyrocketed. That was a $1,700 stock. It just now split 50-1 or whatever it did recently.
Wow.
The only time historically that stock ever, and it went skyrocketed, only time it went down were twice with an E. coli scare, and the stock went down aggressively, almost 30%, I think at one point, and then it went back up.
Wow.
But that's just kind of a perfect example of how, that's Main. There's others. So guys, we're going to be talking about Main Street to Wall Street for a while now. This is our new thing, right? Tsvetta and I, we're going to sort of attack, how things that happen on Main Street end up on Wall Street or affect Wall Street, or, and that interrelationship. I mean, it's basically human conditioning and human opinion and human emotions and feeling, how it relates then to a product and how that relates to the price of a stock.
How it relates to the money.
To the money. Make money, make money. All right, so do we have a plan? Do we have a deal? We have an idea?
I love it.
From Main Street to Wall Street, this is the big knockout. Tsvetta and Einstein, kicking butt, taking names. Have a good day. And that's all I got to say about that.